See those cracks in the tire? It's dry rotted, and you don't want to ride your bike on dry rotted tires. So today, we're going to change the back tire using one from another bike. It's important to make sure that the tires match before swapping them out. The tread is the same? Good. Now let's look at the sizing. The old tire reads 26 by 1.95. That means it has an outer diameter of 26 inches and a width of 1.95 inches. And the new one, same thing, excellent. First things first, it's important to shift gears before trying to take off the back tire. First, we toggle this switch into high gear or low gear. To get the chain into that gear, we have to pedal the bike a little bit with one foot. The best thing for when changing your back tire is to have the bike in high gear, which means that the chain will be around the smallest sprocket on the wheel. This also means that there will be less chain to get hung up when you take off the tire. Next, we squeeze these arms together to disengage this noodle. This will help the tire not to get hung up on the brake pads when you try to take it off. Now it's time to loosen the nuts. You will need to try out different sizes of wrenches to see what works. Like the front tire that I changed in my previous video, the nuts on this bike will need a 15mm wrench. The nuts had rust on them, so I had to spray a little WD-40 on each one and let it sit for a few minutes before loosening. After you have loosened the nuts, you will need to pivot the derailleur like this. Now the chain will pop off the sprocket and off comes the tire. Sometimes when trying to take off the back tire, we encounter something like this. And when we do, we just take it off and we put it somewhere we won't lose it. You'll need to figure out what kind of screwdriver it will need, and this one will need a Phillips head. Alright, and to take off the back tire from the other bike, we just repeat the steps that we just took. And now it's time to put the tire from the other bike onto this bike. The chain should be around the sprockets up front on the bike itself, and it should also be around the sprockets on the wheel. To accomplish this, I had to put the tire only part of the way in, like this. Before you try to tighten the nuts back, we need to get the derailleur back into the position it was in before the tire was taken off. And it took me a bit of trial and error to do that. When you tighten the nuts, I would suggest propping your bike upside down against something sturdy and having someone else come out to help for this part. Now, an important tool to have is a set of adjustable pliers like these. And they can prove useful in many situations, including what I'm about to explain. It's really best to tighten the nut on the same side as the derailleur first with the wrench, while having someone else hold the other nut in place with the adjustable pliers. This will help keep the axle from turning when you're trying to tighten. And once you're done with that nut, it should probably be easier to tighten the other nut. Now it's time to flip the bike back to right side up, and we'll push these arms together and place this noodle back in the slot. It's important to remember to do this so that way the brakes can be applied when needed. Just one more thing, and it's time to check the PSI on the new tire, and it should be aired up through this valve until it reads that amount. Never underinflate or overinflate.